In 1919, he hit 29 home runs and was sold to the New York Yankees.
A three-run home run for Buffington. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2.
Bill Lee is now going over to a couple of the Yankees, and there they go again.
Ball hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series.
Varitek and A-Rod going at it. Roberts is going. Posada's throw. Roberts safe.
And what can I say? Just tip my hat and call the Yankees my daddies.
Welcome to Fanbase, a deep dive into the greatest rivalry in sports, episode 103. Brian Shackman, John Senecal. It's been a minute. It's good to be back.
We're getting up there in the years, right?
Yeah, we're getting old. I'm feeling my age for sure.
I mean, a lot's changed since we've been back on the air last.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to listen, we're going to talk about a little bit of our feelings going in pitchers and catchers. I mean, I actually had a statistic about. Truck Day happened this week for the Red Sox, and I don't know how much you follow that stuff for the Yankees, but
sure,
I have a set of statistics to share, the courtesy of Gabrielle Starr on Twitter. 20,400 baseballs go down there to Florida.
And this is for the Red Sox?
Yeah, 1,000. No, this is just for the Red Sox. 1,100 bats, 200 batting gloves, 200 batting helmets, 320 batting practice tops, 160 white game jerseys, 300 pairs of pants, 400 T-shirts, 400 pairs of socks, 20 cases of bubble gum, 60 cases of sunflower seeds. That goes in the truck. I don't know if that's...
And no PEDs.
No creatine or HGH or the cream or the clear. But what I thought we would do, is just talk about our sense of things. I mean, for the Red Sox, I think we should start there because I think the Yankees are going to be good. The question is how good. I think the Red Sox are going to be bad. The question is how bad.
Yeah, well,
right?
I think the Red Sox are the main topic because I feel like that's the team that everyone is so-called kind of up in arms.
Right. So the big thing is they went to this, in Springfield, I think they went to MGM, and John Henry and Chaim Bloom, I think, got booed pretty robustly, and it was pretty shocking. And the truth is, I renewed my season tickets before they let Bogaerts go, and I regret it. And I've spent thousands of dollars, that I don't really want to spend on the team. So I'm pissed. And the thing is, there's no real hope for the future. I mean, and you say what you want. I mean, in 5 years, if they have some perennial contender, I guess it's okay. But no other major market team takes that long to rebuild. And so I think that the booing, I was glad. I'm not a boo guy. I don't boo. I tell my kids not to boo. I cheer or I stay quiet. That's my philosophy. It's just what I do. I don't necessarily judge it, but it's not what I do. But I was glad that some people sent them a message that what you're doing is not. It's almost borderline saying it's not right.
And this is what the second time publicly that this has happened to them, because the other one was at a soccer game or something at Fenway.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
it
right.
was Henry that got lit up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I would think they thought maybe there'd be some little problem, but listen, from a Yankees fan standpoint, right? You love to see it because the team is so-called in disarray, but you never know what happens until the players get on the field, right? But on paper,
what players?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. But on paper, they have one main attraction, right? And that's the guy they've locked up, Devers. The other Story, your main acquisition last year, is hurt. Who knows when he's coming back? So there's a lot of question marks with the Red Sox. Who's playing shortstop? Who's going to play second base? Who's going to play center field? They're all over the place, right?
I think Devers, and maybe it's because he's got that perma smile, or maybe it's because he's still really young. I just don't see him as a figure like an Ortiz or Bogaerts figure. So, I mean, I know he speaks better English than he lets on because he doesn't want to talk, but that should change.
He's also young.
Right, but he is. But I'm just saying, I don't see him as that kind of guy necessarily. So if he's your franchise guy, I'm looking at the depth chart now, and it's funny, they still have Chris Sale listed as the number one starter, and then you have Corey Kluber, Nick Pivetta, Garrett Whitlock, who's I think hurt now too, and James Paxton. Paxton is roll of the dice. I mean, there's at least three of the five are roll of the dice guys, and then the only position on the whole roster, I want to see how the Japanese guy does in the outfield. Obviously, Yoshida is interesting to me, but first base is really interesting to me because I think Cassis has a real chance, but to be a star. But we thought the same about Bobby Dahlbeck, and they can't even trade Bobby Dahlbeck.
No, he's got
No,
Donaldson.
They can't trade him.
He's been Donaldson.
No, but it's not because he gets paid. It's nobody, there's no value in him.
It's not good.
And so I look at the roster, and I like Verdugo just because at least he's an interesting
he's
guy.
Play all the time because that's their only hope left from the Mookie Betts deal. So he's going to stay until he literally plays himself off the team. If he does that, they're not going to sit him. So he's in the lineup.
No, I know, but the point is, he's not even like a. And if you have Kike at short, you just don't have. You have one elite player. And a potential elite player in Casas. So you have Devers at third, and then there isn't a single elite player in their starting nine.
Or a single, rock solid.
It's really, it's.
If you're going into spring training, you want, I would say, 85% of your team rock solid, barring injury. That is what's going to go on the field, right? If you're going to be a perennial contender.
I think the breakdown is out of your starting, you want at least 3 pay over market free agents that are the difference makers. You want 3 guys that are just solid who aren't breaking the bank, and then 3 arbitration eligible the potential superstars. And that's, if you want to win a title, that's your breakdown.
I'm not even talking about winning a title. I'm talking about knowing who's going to play and who's going to be those guys. As I look at the Red Sox right now, I don't know who's going to play first base. I don't know who's going to play second base.
You do. You know that Casas is playing first.
You don't know that.
I do.
What has Casas done in the major leagues?
John, he's playing first base.
What has he done in the major leagues?
I'm just telling you. I'm answering your question.
He could literally go into spring training and be the biggest
No, he's
flop.
playing first base.
So if he goes
and Kike's playing short and Devers playing third.
Spring training, he's playing first base.
Yes.
I don't believe it for a second, especially on a team that needs the fans behind them.
He's playing. I'm just telling
Shouldn't
you.
have got rid of Hosmer.
So your point is still a good point. I wouldn't have gotten rid of Hosmer either, but your point is still a good point, but they have,
Okay, so get past Casas, second base.
Well, Arroyo, they say.
Shortstop.
Well, it's going to be Kike.
When was the last time Kike played shortstop?
No, he's not a shortstop.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying first base is taken. That's all I'm saying.
They have nothing other than Devers in that lineup.
Let's not talk about the team anymore. The bottom line is that I was glad, even though I'm not a boo guy, that the message was sent, but I'm humiliated that I've spent money that my wife and I make on this team.
And I think
I'm ashamed. I'm actually ashamed.
And you ring true for, I think, all the Red Sox fans. And it hurts you even more because, like you said, you spend the money. But I don't understand, again, how do they let that happen? What's the reasoning behind it?
I think that the Betts starts with the Betts trade. They got nothing for him, nothing that's helping the team in 2023. And so I think this whole thing about drafting and developing is fine, but the stuff that was supposed to be the stopgap has failed, right? So that's the problem, is that the systemic shift might be the right systemic shift, but the players that they wanted to sort of make them competitive in the near and medium term have not panned out. So, and it's tough because I still would have. I don't know. Bogarts doesn't deserve the money that the Padres gave him, but
I wouldn't say so much the money. I say the length of the contract.
Yeah, but it's
the money. The money was market value. That nobody deserves that money, in my opinion. But that was market value.
Yep. So let's go to the Yankees, because I think that for me,
the way I look at the Yankees, right?
Yeah. Okay, you can start.
Just like everybody else is saying, comes down to left field and third base, right? That's who they're saying, and shortstop. Because the question is, can Anthony Volpe be the starting shortstop?
Is it Volpe or Volpe or Volpe? What is it?
I think it's Volpe, depending how you ask. Or is it going to be Peraza? I don't know. It's shortstop or IKF. Then you go look at left field and you say Hicks. You say
now on their depth chart, by the way, they don't even have Volpe on the depth chart. Do you think you convinced he's going to make the team?
No, I think he'll start in AAA just because that's the progression that they're going to go with, and that's now you're going to. But Peraza is ready, from what they say, to play the major leagues, and he has major league experience because he's been up there. Now, I think Oswaldo Cabrera fits better as a super utility guy. If you move him around where he can play any position basically on the infield and outfield, that's the role he should be in. And then you look at third base with Donaldson and DJ, I mean, the problem is, again, Donaldson's going to have to play. If he's healthy, they're going to have to play him. No one's going to take him.
Really? So DJ wouldn't play?
I would think DJ's going to have to play, and again, they're going to have to find.
So where do you put him?
You're going to have to move him around the field. So
well, you don't have there's an outfielder issue,
and that's what I was just going to say. So it's going to come down to someone solidifying that left field role.
right?
And
right.
who's that going to be? They're going to say
They got
it's not
Cabrera
it's
right
not
now.
going to be Stanton.
No, he's going to DH.
Right. So it's going to be Hicks. Who knows? Is it going to be Cabrera? Who knows? That's the thing. Someone's going to need to win that job, and that's what they're talking about. But they're also talking about, I want to go out and get Brian Reynolds and sign him. But the Pirates, it would be stupid to get rid of him now. At least wait for the season to start. And the Yankees, honestly, if you look at their roster and you look at who's coming, do they need to freak out and go out and get another all-star left fielder? No. And do they need to freak out and go and find a shortstop? I think they've pretty much given that word that they're not going to do that because they could have done that already. So they're looking towards the youth there. But left field, they got Spencer Jones, who's your left-handed Aaron Judge, who doesn't have a ton of at-bats because he was drafted in 2022 out of Vanderbilt, but he's older. And his sample size was good so far. You got Jason Dominguez coming, who should be ready in another year, who's a big touted prospect, who could play left field. And then you got those shortstops. So like I say, as Yankee fan, opposed to what a Red Sox fan should be up in arms, Yankee fans are always saying, get. I say pump the brakes, all right? Slow down a little bit, see how it plays out, because you do have a lot of good players on this roster in other positions, and you can afford to work on those positions. Now, you know how I feel about Aaron Hicks, right? In my opinion, he shouldn't be there. But again, I'll say it till I'm
He's not going to play. He's not going to play that much, though.
He's a switch hitter who, if you're a switch hitter in the major leagues, it's like being a left-handed pitcher.
Right. He would also start on the Red Sox.
He'd start on a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And I think if you could get someone to take him, he would be a very good player in a different brain trust.
So when I look at the roster of the Yankees, and first of all, in comparison to the Red Sox, it's not even though there are flaws and holes, like you don't have, all 9 aren't like set in stone. I mean, there is that issue in left field and at shortstop, but there's talent. But what I would say, my argument here is, I don't think, unless the young kids get them a lot better, I don't think the Yankees are better than last year. And I think Toronto might be. And I know that Baltimore is. Now, do I think Baltimore is going to threaten for a wild card? Maybe not. But I think, I don't know what the deal is with John Means and him pitching, but I don't see the Yankees as like scary formidable. The only thing is that the Astros are going to take a step back, and I don't know who's going to step into the void, but the Yankees aren't scary to me unless you have both Stanton and Judge just totally humming, and then they have to pitch to other guys, and LeMahieu's healthy and he'll rake. But they're so much better than the Red Sox. It's like, that to me is what's really insane. And it's not like it's all free agent stars. I mean, there's a couple young guys, you just mentioned the names, who could come up and make a difference. So I think if you're a Yankee fan, from my perspective, if I was not a Yankee fan, I think you should be more cautiously optimistic, because I don't think the team is demonstrably better than a team that didn't go to the World Series last year.
No, and that's perfectly said, because you look at the team last year and they had the same players, right? The only difference they're going to this year, really, in the grand scheme of things, is adding Rodon into your rotation, right? You're gone. You lost Chapman, he's gone. Green's gone, but Michael King is coming back. And really, other than that, it's not much different. And you saw what happened last year when injuries hit the team and then they stopped hitting. But you did add Rodon. So I feel like, as from a pitching standpoint, you've gotten much better. So what you do is you hope that what you have in place, that they perform how they should be and they stay healthy, because it all comes down to health. I keep saying that. And like you said, when we had John Sterling on, it comes down to, there'll be injuries, right? And that's how baseball is. But on paper, yes, the Yankees are a much more exciting team, a much better team than the Red Sox. But again, the only difference, in my opinion, really is the adding of the pitcher.
The bottom line is, wait till a crappy team's ready to sell.
Well, I mean,
you're basically saying
if you're gonna go out and get a guy like Brian Reynolds, right? He's got, I think, 3 more years of control after this year.
You're gonna have to give up a lot.
You're gonna have to give up one of those 2 players or 3 players that we just mentioned: Jones, Dominguez, or Volpe, or Peraza. Right? You're going to have to give up one of those players. Now, on the flip side of that,
I would argue I would trade one of the shortstops.
Exactly.
So
you got a guy like Cabrera, who has major league experience, who has shown that he can play, and he's multi-positional. Now, is he more value to you? Yes, because he's value on your roster and he's value off your roster, but he's not the flashy name like a Dominguez or a Volpe. So, like you said, I do believe, yes, if you're going to trade someone, get rid of one of the shortstops because they have a lot of room.
It's interesting, the last thing I want to move on, but team rankings, just they do a sort of a data-based, automatic projections on the season. They project Houston will win 106 and that the Yankees will win 99.
What do they got for Seattle?
They have Seattle winning 90.
90, that's it, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and getting the second wild card that Toronto wins 92.
Who do they have in the playoffs?
So it looks like they have the Yankees winning, Cleveland winning, Houston winning, and then the wild cards would be Toronto, Seattle, and Tampa.
So cut and paste except for Toronto.
And then it has the Red Sox winning 78.
And what they win last year? 82, 81?
I can tell you that.
So that's interesting. They have basically the same carbon copy of the playoffs as last year, except they're adding Toronto in.
Yep. And so and say what you want, but I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that Houston takes a step back, but I mean the Red Sox won 78 last year.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think the Houston Astros are going to be as bad as everyone thinks they are because they're pitching. I mean, they're losing Verlander. Yes, he did win the Cy Young, but behind Verlander, their pitching last year was impeccable. And I honestly, I think they're just going to just roll right along. I hate to say it, but they haven't really gotten worse other than losing Verlander. They got rid of Gurriel and they put Jose Abreu in his place. So, listen, they're the champions, right? So it runs through Houston until they prove otherwise. But, in the grand scheme of things, I like the way the Yankees sit. We'll see how spring training starts to shape out because a lot can happen. And listen, we could be talking in 3 weeks from now, and half these guys we just talked about could have quad injuries, oblique injuries, and hamstrings, right? And you also got to remember the World Baseball Classic is this year. Now, there's only one Yankee going, who's Nestor Cortez, when they're pitchers.
Only one.
Yeah. So, there is that.
I'm into the WBC.
I'm so excited.
I really think it's a good idea.
I'm excited about it. I think it's good. It's one of those things where you can still pump it up that, we didn't have it during the pandemic. Everyone in the world's coming together. So there's extra extensional marketability to it.
I just think that in players, outside the U.S., especially the Latin players, I think they really want to represent their country.
And the rosters are insane. That Dominican Republic team is
It's really fun. It's great for that country, and I think it's great for the game. I don't know if it'll get to be like the World Cup in soccer, but the U.S. is not it's not a rubber stamp to win it. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's what makes it interesting is that it's no guarantee they're just going to roll. It's not like, USA basketball in 1992. It's just not. It's not. So,
and it's a different breed of baseball too. Like, as a fan, like the first time I watched it, I was a little kind of like, all right, let's go easy with the celebrations. But now, the way baseball has trended with celebrating, it's going to be interesting to see how the U.S. players react and if they show a lot more personality. The Latin players are going to have their flair and their flavor after they hit the home runs and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see when a U.S. player does something, if they actually, turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. We have an episode directly related to that. Last thing before we go, John Senecal, Brian Shackman here. Episode 103 of Fanbase, a deep dive into the greatest rivalry in sports. It'll date it maybe, a little bit. But let's, Super Bowl, two teams let's might as well make our picks. I feel like Mahomes is like Steph Curry, like you love him or hate him kind of thing.
What is it about Mahomes that most people can't see?
I think it's like his wife's annoying to some people.
She's been like on lockdown this year. Her and the little brother, the TikToker.
Yeah. What I would say is,
they've been quiet.
I feel like a lot of your essence would like Philly. Like, I know you like the Yankees, but the edge you have as a fan is very Philly-ish.
Yeah.
But I can't stand Philly as a sports town because, they beat the Patriots, of course, and I don't know. I don't love their teams. So I'm pro, and Andy Reid has kind of been a great coach who's fallen short in a bunch of different ways. I know he's won one title, but he's had Super Bowl winning teams, I think, at least 5 times. But I want
with the Phillies, right?
Huh?
He won with the Phillies.
He won with
the Phillies. The Eagles.
He didn't win with the Eagles.
He lost
with the Eagles. It was Peterson who won with the Eagles. Right? He won with the Chiefs. So.
Ran him out of town.
I'm picking KC. I want them to win, but I don't care that much. I'm rooting for the commercials. So, I don't have a ton of vested interest other than we can gamble legally in Connecticut, and I would take the over, and I would take Kansas City, and that's it.
You know what I don't like is the commercials are becoming like the Black Friday ads. Like you're getting them before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't like it. Or you're getting the cut down version before the Super Bowl. So you basically get the gist of it.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, so there was 20 more seconds of this ad or 30
Yep.
more seconds of this ad. So the commercials aren't as flavorable as they used to be. Let's put it that way. So I'm not a big Mahomes fan. I don't know what it is about him. I think he sold the out of bounds penalty big time. Now, granted, that wasn't the right play for the defense to make, but something about him, I don't know. I don't. Like
some
it.
people just don't like him.
I just don't like him. But you know what? That guy somehow he figures it out. I mean, he is your next elite superstar quarterback. He's proven it. I mean, he's been back and back and back. And look at everybody loves somebody that's injured and can rise above, like the hobble and the the.
So you're picking him.
I'm not picking him. I don't want him to win. But I think they're going to win. But I think it's going to be a much better game than what we've seen so far with the Phillies. The Phillies. I keep saying the Phillies. The Eagles have been part of.
Well, they were gifted.
It's been awful for them so far as competition.
I think that's going to work against them.
Yeah, it might. So I want Philly to win, but unfortunately, I think.
God, you're such an you're not an
Chiefs are too good. I'm going with the Phillies.
Okay.
Phillies, Eagles. God damn it, I'm too.
You're such an equivocator. Equivocating is not your thing. It doesn't suit
I'm not
you.
a football guy.
I know, but
I mean,
you're like
about it.
I really think the Chiefs are going to win. I know the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles, but the Chiefs. I don't like the Chiefs. I don't know. Just pick somebody.
I'm going to pick the Eagles then.
Okay, fine. I'll bet you 5 guys.
And it's what's the line on it now? Do we know?
Oh, you gotta ask me these kind of questions.
I'm sure you don't have your DraftKings app open.
No, I do. I'm a FanDuel guy. If they want to sponsor the show, in terms of the Super Bowl, right now it is Philly by 1.5. Nice shot. Yeah, Philly by 1.5. So you taking the one? Give me the 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right now though. That could change.
Well, we're taking it as it is now.
When the
what are we betting?
When the hot water.
What
goes
are we
out in the
betting
hotel.
responsibly? Lunch.
Yeah, lunch.
Okay.
That'll work.
Capital Grill. Or 5 Guys.
is this a $50 plus lunch?
Yeah, what is it? All right, John, it's great to see you and catch up as always. Fan Base, a deep dive into the greatest rivalry in sports, wherever you enjoy your podcast. Please listen and share and enjoy. Until next time, be well.